Hello, everyone, and good morning, or maybe it's already your afternoon. So a warm welcome from my side to this community live stream. What's new with SAP Process Automation? I'm Svea Becker from the SAP community, and I'm your technical host today. And also I'm here for you to provide a lot of links during the presentation from our speakers, from SAP community. And as I mentioned, we have speakers. I'm really happy to have those two here from the SAP Process Automation team. We have Natascha Josipovic. She's the product strategist. And we have Marcin, I try your last name, Jedrzejczak. He's a lead product manager from SAP Process Automation. Thanks so much. It's always a struggle with those names, so I'm happy that I'm only Svea Becker. It's really good to have you both here. And I would say the stage is yours. You can start with your content, and I'm back when we come to question and answer. Have a great call.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Svea, for the introduction. So also from my side, very warm welcome. My name is Natascha. As Svea already introduced, I'm a product strategist at SAP Process Automation. I'm very happy to be here today with Marcin to show you what's new in SAP Process Automation. Before we go into the presentation, let me start with a very brief disclaimer. So this information belongs to SAP, is subject to change, and you know it probably. All right. So since SAP Process Automation is a relatively new product, let me start with a short introduction because we went generally available, or we are available since February this year. So I thought let's bring everyone on the same page so that you know why we created SAP Process Automation and what it actually is about. So what we heard from our customers with regards to digitalization, there are often three main challenges. The first one, we see that there is an increase in demand, customer requirements, internal and external requirements. So there are things changing in the world, and these need to be addressed as well. What we also see, a second challenge, is on the same page, we have limited resources, right? So there are not enough developers in order to cope with all the changes that are demanded by the business. And then the third challenge that we often hear, the IT landscapes are increasing. So we see more and more application. And that means that, of course, these need to be maintained, which also requires a lot of effort from the IT side. We believe that with no-code, low-code, we can actually unleash a hidden workforce in the company. So you see here in green, the pro developers. We don't have enough developers. We don't have many people who can actually work on solutions in order to cope with business challenges. But by empowering the business users that have also an increasing skill set in terms of technologies, but they might not even be able to code, but they have the business knowledge that is required, we can actually empower more people in order to help addressing those changes. So these are the so-called citizen developers. We from SAP, we want to help our customers in order to accelerate the time to value with low-code, no-code. And that's why we have a unified low-code, no-code offering, which you can see here. It consists of three different elements. So we have the digital experience, so everything that touches also the business user, the consumer of, for example, processes and applications. And then also we have low-code, no-code capabilities you see here on the top in the area of automation and also in the area of application composition, so to really develop applications. Below that, we provide a unified marketplace in order to accelerate the building of processes and applications even more with pre-built content provided by SAP, but also by our partners. So what is SAP Process Automation about now? So what we did with SAP Process Automation is we actually are combining workflow or capabilities from SAP Workflow Management with capabilities from Intelligent Robotic Process Automation. And we added an intuitive citizen developer experience on top of that. why is that important? So with that, we actually help companies to enable the automation, the improvement of workflows and processes by just using visual features. Yeah, so you don't need any coding experience. You can do that just by using those. By providing those options, we help organizations to empower more business users to become those citizen developers that we talked about before. And with that, so they are really able on their own to improve processes, to adapt them, to innovate more, right? So to really cope with what is needed in the market today. And that with still limited IT resources. That doesn't mean we don't need IT anymore, of course, so there will always be this collaboration, but what we aim for is really to reduce the effort on the IT side and leave everything what the business can do themselves, because they have the knowledge, they have the domain expertise, right? So that they can do it on their own as much as possible. So what are some of the capabilities of SAP Process Automation? So we added with SAP Process Automation an intuitive experience with providing a no-code process and form builder, that where you don't need any coding experience. You can just go in, design your process, design a form that is needed within the process. We also embedded intelligence, machine learning capabilities in order to accelerate and make process building and also process execution even smarter. We have a task center and inbox where all the user tasks come up so that you can approve and review things in one central place. And of course, what I mentioned, so we combined workflow management and automation capabilities. So with SAP Process Automation, you also have advanced workflow capabilities that you might know from workflow management, such as, for example, advanced business rules, process visibility dashboards, so that you can monitor your process KPIs that are relevant as well. One key component, automations as well. So by providing automations within SAP Process Automations, users can also automate manual and very repetitive tasks and hence spend more time for higher value work. And adding this with or combining this with processes and forms, you can combine these manual repetitive tasks with more human-centric tasks, such as approvals, reviews, and everything that you might need. All right, so far from my side, that was a very short introduction for you so that we are on the same page. And now let's come to the core of today's presentation. So what's new in SAP Process Automation? And for that, I would hand over to Marcin. Marcin, kick it off from here.
Thanks, Natascha. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marcin, and I have a pleasure to work on the SAP Process Automation product together with Natascha, but also with many other colleagues. And today I will try to show you what are the latest and greatest improvements that we are doing in our product. But even before we do it, I just would like to echo for a moment what Natascha said once again. It's June 2022. It's already 5 months basically where we are in the market with SAP Process Automation. So we are really happy to see the growing adoption. We do our best to work with all of our customers to see what are the biggest roadmap items that we should execute to improve the product, so that our customers can basically speed up, like Natascha said, with the digital transformation by allowing those business users to do it more often. So you can see also that we have the well-known already by our SAP community hoodie today. If it's visible, to code or not to code. Yes, it's a little bit provocative, but to those of you who know it, you know that our target goal with SAP Process Automation is really to build a product that will be for people who doesn't know how to code. Of course, it doesn't mean that it won't be used by pro developers. It just means that we believe that building a no-code product, we can basically solve complex problems of our customers. It's much simpler way. So still allowing the same functionalities that all of the products that this product is evolving from. So the workflow management capabilities, but also robotic process automation capabilities, but all on top with the very no code and very easy to use interface, so that all of us without being very technical can really use. Just as a reminder, because I'm really excited about this always. And now let us go through basically the biggest achievements that we launched in our product in the last couple of weeks and months. I will start the demo just by introducing basically a couple of topics, and then of course I will jump to the real product so that we can see already what's there and how it's helpful to all of us and to our customers. I will start with a lobby. So lobby is basically a place. It's like an entry point to our no-code, low-code portfolio. And with SAP Process Automation, every customers and every employee who works for the customers can access to see what are all of the projects that are maintained in one life cycle. So what are all of the automations that are running, and what are the most important informations that I can access and I can change directly from the first view of the product. And in order to present the improvements, let's firstly see on the three main things that I will demo you. So there are some tiny changes that we do to, for example, enable importing of projects from our other solutions. So in that case, we also did some good job to allow importing projects directly from robotic process automation solutions. So all customers who used robotic process automation standalone now can easily, basically in 2 clicks, what I will show you, import those projects. We are doing some also changes in order to help to rename projects, to have a better ordering or better management of projects. And finally, I will show you how it's easy to also manage different deployed projects directly from this view. So let me now directly jump to the lobby, so that to those of you who are familiar with SAP Process Automations, you already saw that lobby is basically a place, like I said, when I can see the list of all of my projects. So for the purpose of this demo, I see some of the projects that basically represent different business processes. And if I would like to those of you who also are familiar with other products in our no-code, low-code portfolio and heard about the AppGyver, also a Business Application Studio, you know that the lobby is basically can be not only the access point to SAP Process Automation processes, but also to processes that customer can, or to projects that customer can build directly to build some no-code, low-code applications in Business Application Studio, or use AppGyver to build some mobile apps that can be also used as a low-code, no-code solutions. So as a summary, customer can access and create directly from this view all basically different types of automations. And the improvements that I would like to show you is starting from the one that I mentioned that helps customers now to basically import projects in a very simple way. So the way how it works is that if I already had some project that I built or customer built previously in robotic process automation, I can just export this project in a robotic process automation. For the purpose of the demo, I just already did it, but you can believe me that it's as simple as importing. And now, just by importing, we will see that the project is currently importing, which will also take basically a couple of seconds. And what we will see in the moment is that I will be able basically to easily access this project and also use in the context of all of my projects in the organization. So if I access basically this particular order management robotic process project that automate basically the the process of ordering some items, we can see that to those of you who know, we are integrated in a very nice way with all powerful capabilities of robotic process automation. So in this particular I can see that there is already an automation that consists of a couple of steps, and customer can basically easily also release and deploy this in the life cycle of world of SAP Process Automation. So that's the first and really good improvement that we have in the context of the lobby. The second one, which I mentioned, I would like to show you also that customer can now also firstly share the project with other people in the organization which already existed in the future, but now it's also able to rename this project so that I could change the name and to add something and let me. Now I need to do it once again.
You have to remove the dash here. It's just by the import. Then you can change it.
Order management Marcin. Sure. Yes, thanks, Natascha. You see, it's also a sign that sometimes we need to work. It's the definition of the fusion team. We also believe that just as a context information, that organization will very often basically cooperate together as a fusion team. So it's indeed the citizen developer who is accountable for who we believe that is the target persona for building the processes, but it's very often that the reality is that we work together in the organizations to automate something. So it was just an example that maybe bad one, but we somehow work together also to build something. But again, renaming is the one functionality. I show already the importing, and then last but not least, what we can see here is also that we can manage the life cycle of the project. So we can see that this particular version of the project that in this name is named like this has different versions. It means that the organization or someone, for instance, edited the projects in order to have a more updated version. And we can see also that there might be multiple versions that are deployed, so that they are running and customers automating this. And it would be now also possible to deploy, for example, the project directly from the view of the lobby. Next to this, as you can see, there are already well-known some easy tile that can help customers to access and build the processes faster. But to not spend more time on lobby, because I think that there are more important topics also to in our other part of the products. Let's just quickly summarize. We just saw the functionality of importing projects, renaming, and managing the deployed versions. And with that, let's go to the, in my view, the most exciting part of SAP Process Automation. It's the part where basically the citizen developer can build in an easy way all automation. So automate processes using all existing capabilities, which Natascha mentioned that some of them we integrated already that are coming from workflow management capabilities, like, for example, the business rules, some monitoring capabilities. But we also, on top of that, built our very nice and easy to use interface based on the process builder. And the process builder itself, basically, which I call personally like a next generation of workflow, was enhanced for on some really powerful capabilities. And just to quickly look at them before I show them in the product, there is a conditions flows that now helps customers to enrich some logic into the process, which I will show you in a particular business case. We have a simplified rule creation, which is basically the business rules service that I mentioned that is now also in a very easy way integrated so that customer can access this directly from the SAP Process Automation and build a rule that can, for an example, determine some business logic for a process. And I will also show it in the use case, as well as the capabilities of enhancing some custom or parameterized subjects, as well as the automations, right? So I think one of the really most powerful capabilities that SAP Process Automations is now integrated with, and I will mention shortly about some enhancements there. So let's jump directly to the demo. And as I said at the beginning, I will try to rely today on a use case, which is the invoice approval use case. And to those of you who are familiar already with SAP Process Automation, I decided to not build the process from scratch to just save a little bit of our time. But to those of you who are new here and who didn't know the product yet, I will try to make it very slow and also explain carefully what are the best of the best that we can offer with SAP Process Automation. So just as a reminder, we are currently looking at the process builder that I mentioned, which is the, so to say, next generation of workflow, which means that like in the workflow management, customer was using the BPMN language to model different processes. We built Process Builder basically in order to allow the same capabilities, but in a simpler way, so that customer can use the drag and drop functionalities to build, for example, such process. In this particular use case, we are trying to automate the invoice approval process, which is basically one of the most common use cases that we see and we hear from our customers. It's simple as that. Like, we know that the pain is in many organizations that customers are receiving tons of different invoices from different vendors. And usually there's many unrepetitive work required even in order to organize those invoices in a certain order in the folders, but also the need to approve those invoices based on different information from those invoices is just a common practice. And in order to automate this process, to save tons of time, but also make work of people who are approving much similar, we can do it in SAP Process Automation, basically in a very quick way. So what we see already here that I created is the process that consists of a couple of steps. And we used here already the capabilities of SAP Process Automation that we already have from the beginning, from the February when we launched, which is basically our form builder editor, which is again an extraordinary no-code solution that allow customers to build basically in a drag and drop way different kind of the forms that without any coding skills, as you can see, we can use either to enhance existing forms like I could do now, for example, by adding some field, or to build something completely from scratch. And in this particular use case, what I've already built in a very quick way is I'm collecting information from someone who will be providing the invoice. So just who is the employee name, where is the file path, so what is the file path in the computer that this invoice is stored, what is the current date, and what's the split. And as this is the trigger of the process, so usually in the organization, whenever an invoice will be stored in a certain file, and the requester would upload this, then the next step would be extracting data from this invoice. So here we are using the powerful capabilities of robotic process automation that basically allow to extract certain data from this invoice. And again, to not spend a lot of time, so that because I feel we have people who already know robotic process automation very well, we can see that how the configuration of automation works. What I would like to show you instead is that for the purpose of for this demo, we are here extracting the information about the document number, the gross amount, and the sender. It means that every invoice will, with those data, the technology or the robotic process automation bot will read those data and send it over to the next steps, which is basically the invoice approval form that we also created in a very easy way, thanks to the new capabilities, which I will show you a little bit later. But to finish the full use case, once the approval is basically done, when we have also the notifications, either when the approval is approved or rejected. And in order to show you some of the new capabilities, let me try to enhance this use case very quickly. So what I would like to do is, for example, try to firstly add the condition that will basically show that enhance this use case, that not every approver and not every invoice, excuse me, should be approved, but only, for example, the invoices that the gross amount is bigger than, let's say, 100. So in order to do this, I am basically enhancing the process by selecting the capability of the conditions. And now what you can see here is that I can use the condition editor that we've built in the last weeks. And what I will select is I will select the gross amount, and I will say that if the value is greater than 100, it should go to the approval step. However, I may also say that if it's less than 100, I can create that. I can create, for example, a new approval form that would say that it's auto approval, and I am at the same time sneaking peek already with something that I will show you later. But I am creating in a very simple way this based on the for example, invoice approval form. And then you can see that in basically 2 clicks, I created an auto approval form, which will auto approve every of the invoice that the amount is less than 100. Of course, in order to connect the process further, I can also say that if it's approved, I will send a notification to the requester that it's auto approved, and I can also connect the reject to the invoice reject. In order to, I would park for the moment the topic of this particular step to not spoiler the further improvements that I will show you in a moment. But what I instead would like to do is also to show you how we enriched the capabilities of the decisions. So the business rule service. Let me see what happened. Yes, we are back. So for this purpose, I will create the new decision that simply I will create in order to show you how more advanced business logic might be applied based on data for this use case. So I will call this approver determination. And now you can see that the decision is created. And I will show you the new wizard that we built to simplify the creation of business rules. Those of you who are familiar with the business rules, you know that the service also already exists in workflow management. And what we did, what I'm really happy about, is we hear the feedback from our customers that sometimes the configuration of the rule or the decision was a little bit too complex, or customers were lost. That's why we did an effort to also simplify the creation of the rule. I see that we have some load time of loading. Let me try to access this once again.
Sometimes reloading the page can also be an option. So if you want to try that.
I will try. Let's go with my internet connection.
Yeah.
Give it a couple of more seconds. Maybe we have just a demo effect.
Yeah, that's the demo effect. We all know it.
Yeah. I will do the last attempt to create it from scratch, and we see if it works or we continue with the topics. So I will just remove it and also show you how easy it is to remove this and try to add it once again. I will create a new decision.
Maybe you give it a different name as well.
Yes. Yes, we have it. Now I see I have to zoom out a little bit. Okay, we have it. So as I said, to wrap it now, so far the view, I think it's familiar to those of you who know the business rules. What I would like to show you is how we simplified the creation, as I said. So this will be a simple logic that I will use in order to determine the approver based on the, for example, the name of the company who this invoice come from. So to do this, I am relying on the data from the invoice and the information that I would expect. So the output from this decision would be the approver. So I will create a default policy and add a rule. And this is the wizard that I was talking about. So we have an approver. We have an approver determination. Yes, I'll just use the same description for a purpose of the demo. And here we are with the configuration of the condition. So the condition in this view would be that the input to my decision or the table are coming from my invoice. So as we configured in the automation, in the robotic process automation capabilities, that we are extracting data from the invoice, which is the sender name, gross amount, and document number. It means that the same data I can use in this part of the process. So I will basically determine the rule based on the sender name, but of course to show how powerful the capabilities of decision are, we can rely, of course, on much more data, and in order to create much more dependencies and define that not only the company name will determine who exactly in the organization should approve, but for example, the amount. So that for example, in the finance department, there are different departments based on the value of the invoice. But I will just create a very simple one so that we don't spend so much time on this. It's just a sender name that I will use in the condition of the input, and for the results I will use the approver email. So who exactly should approve this. I also see that I have to configure the operator. So it would be just the equal to, so that we take exactly the name of the customers that is taken. We have just a preview on what I did. So basically in 4 steps, I configured basically very simple table that we will now see right here. And just to explain you how easy it is now to set up manual configuration. So let's say that if the company would come from SAP, if the invoice would come from SAP, I'm sorry, I will just say that someone who with the name of test one would from SAP would also approve it, right? And if I would like to add another line, I see that you also have some name in Polish. I am coming from Poland, so you can see that we have also the translation of some words. But I think it's not too many, so it would be understood that for now I will just make it up that if the invoice would come from the SAP customer, just to show it, the user who should approve should be the user test2 sap.com. And of course, it's a very simple table. You can imagine that the capabilities of the business rules might be very, very powerful and not only use the very simple but more advanced rules, but also the predefined rule that the customer can use in order to use the same rule in multiple processes. So we do everything basically to enable customers the simpler configuration of decisions. And now I will just save the decision. It's saved successfully, so we can get back to the process. And just to finish what I just showed you. So I summarized that we have the capabilities of the decisions with a much simplified wizard of the creation. We have the conditions, and I can already say to you that also in coming weeks we are going to enrich the conditions to even support much more rules in a very inline way. So stay tuned for, and you may look on our public roadmap. It will be there. And I already tested it, and I can say that it's also very powerful. And last but not least, what I mentioned, what I would like to show you is the parameterization of the subject. So, for example, if I have the auto approval, and this auto approval will be sent to the task center, so the provider of SAP that every customer is using in order to receive different information from the tasks, I could say that there is a message that will come in the inbox with a message that auto approval, and I can use the data from the context of the process. So I will use, for example, the number of the document. And in that sense, we can basically customize the message also for from every form. And what we could use, we have to use in the mapping, so that we remove the information. We have to use who do we want to inform about this auto approval. So for that purpose, I'm using our data mapping in order to define that it should be sent to the person who requested, so that it's also quickly notified. I also see that I still have some information that something is missing, and I see that there is a mapping that is missing. And just to remind those of you who are familiar with this, the mapping is also very no-code, and it works in a way that basically I am mapping the data from the context of the process. So I map the company name to the sender, I map the employee name to also data from a form, and I map the gross amount to the gross amount, and now all should disappear. Yes. So we enriched the capabilities already to the one that we have. And I also now recall that I forget about one thing. So I have to show it to you, because it's also extremely interesting to see what exactly there are the improvements that we are doing in our automations area. So just quickly mention one of them. I mean, I will enrich this process also to show you that we added the capability in our automation, which is another powerful capability that can, for example, split the invoice, which means that if I receive a lot of invoices that are basically in one PDF, now the predefined activities that we are investing in a lot in automation area can basically in an easy way be configured to split such document. And it's again another basically way to eliminate a lot of multiple manual repetitive tasks. So I won't go into details, just wanted to make sure that you also know that the activities are also constantly improved for us, so that we allow customers to simplify basically the automation. So nothing to mention more about this. I will just add the file path so that we don't have error. And now let's come back to see what are the last improvements to the presentation, to see what are the last improvements that I want to show you today. So yes, quick look on what I showed. I showed conditions. I showed simplified rule creation, so the wizard. We saw also the task subject parameterization and some automation enhancements. And last but not least, let me also show something that I already presented. So who watched me carefully already noticed that now it's really quick to create an approval step or copy basically and duplicate the form. And we heard this also from our customers who are using SAP Process Automation, that it was not so easy to build another approval based on a form. It was just additional steps that customers need to do while using SAP Process Automation. And now it's really quick. And personally, I really like this because look basically in how easy it is now. If I would like to create another approval step, let's say that we in the organization there is a double approval process. So not only one department need to approve, but also there is a CEO that says that I also want to make sure that I have the visibility on the approvals and I want to approve it. So in order to create and enhance this process, I will just create another approval step. And while creating this approval step, what you can see here, I can create it basically based on already existing form. So it means that we are not asking a person or the citizen developer to create it once again. We are basically allowing to auto approval. I would say it's gone based on the approval, but it's a CEO approval. And the way how it's done, it's that on the spot, the system is creating the approval, and I can open this, and I can also see that some of the fields are already in the read-only mode. So the person who will receive this approval in the task center will not be able to change the values. But what we can say is that we also want to add something more, because CEO would like, for example, provide a comment to the approval, right? Like just as an example. And then this comment will be in the write mode. So this particular field would be in the write mode, in a sense that those information will be just the information for the CEO, and the one that needs to be provided, of course, next to the approve or reject, are the one that we configured. And it's all for today. I'm super happy to share what we had the chance to release. There is more to come. So also I'm happy to say that you can track our public roadmap. But now let's jump to questions. Or no, sorry, Natascha, you have some summary, right?
I have a summary, but maybe I wanted to quickly ask if you can reshare, because one feature that we are asked by a lot of customers is also that you can create the forms and the approval based on another form, but you can also in the project, you will see that if you go to a form, there are two things you can copy and duplicate them as well. So if you go to the project overview, and then just, for example, the auto approval notification, go on the three dots, and you will see that also from here, from the project overview, there are two things. You can either duplicate the form, right? So if you want to create another one, like just to have a copy directly in the project, and there's also a copy function. And with the copy function, you will also be able to copy this specific form and paste it into a different project. So now let's say you have the invoice approval process and you are very happy with that, but you have a different process you want to automate, maybe not for invoices, but for investments, but you want to reuse the same form. So you can simply copy it from this project and you paste it into the new one. And then that's also something that you can leverage across different projects.
Yes, thanks for adding this.
And I just wanted to make sure you are aware of that, because I've seen this feature that like many of our users, and they really like it because they can finally reuse also some of their artifacts and in other projects.
Yes.
All right.
As a evidence, I see here that the copy is created successfully.
Yes. All right. So as Marcin said, so that was it so far. You saw some of the enhancements we've been adding in the last couple of weeks and months. Of course, that was not everything. I mean, Marcin briefly mentioned, for example, some enhancement for automations. There's much more that has been added there, so stay tuned. What I can recommend you is to follow us in the SAP community. We will be regularly also posting some of the update for new functionalities that will be coming, so that you can get up to date there as well. And if you want to explore a bit more, then you can also, you find direct access to resources that will help you to get started. For example, our learning journey, a setup guide or get started guide, whatever you would need it, you will be able to see that also directly from the community. And that's it from our side. So that was a short introduction on what was new in SAP Process Automation. So with that said, we would hand it back to Svea for questions we might have received from the audience.
Yes, that's right. There are some questions. I think it was a good thing that you showed it at the last demo, how to copy things in there. And there was a question related to this. If it's possible to duplicate a project, not only the single items, but to duplicate the project. That is the first question. It was during the first demo, I think during the lobby demo.
Yes. Let me answer this question. So currently it's not possible to duplicate project right away, but we might look at this. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah.
And as a first start, I mean, at least you could reuse the forms. So that's like, at least you could leverage them to create a new one.
Okay. I mean, this is a good outlook, Prasad. That's for you. So I hope you are satisfied with this answer. So I was wondering, because when you always talk about citizen developers, so I see myself somewhere there. Of course, I'm not a developer at all. Yeah, but so this is something without coding. It's kind of my approach. But how can customer benefit by enabling citizen developer to automate processes?
So I think there's also what Marcin mentioned before. So what we see a lot with customers is that we have the benefit on the business side that the domain expertise is actually with the business user. So they know, for example, if you have a process you want to automate, they know exactly what is the information that we need in this process, right? And what we see is that often the collaboration is kind of the team is collecting the input and then they are handing it over to some developer. They are doing it. And then in the end, they also figure out, hey, there's something missing. The business would have seen it directly because they know, right? They are the experts. But now they need a different iteration and then review again. So by enabling them to become citizen developers, for example, to build the forms on their own, also the process, we can skip this step so that the business directly can use their expertise in order to come up with a solution right away. We know it's not going to be completely possible without IT, because there will also be some integration touch points where also we see that IT doesn't really want to give the full control, right? Because also if it touches the productive system, you want to have some governance around it. So that's where then they strongly collaborate, but still the expertise that we know in order to build this process that can remain with the citizen developer and the business user.
Okay, yeah, and you mentioned this already during the call, that IT will always have a hand in this. So I absolutely agree here. Thanks for that. Prasad also wanted to ask if it's possible to create different environments.
We have, you might know the environment concept from IRPA, right? So what you can do today is that you create environment variables, for example, and then you can deploy the process across different environments. So that's also something that is possible. But there's still also some things we are improving with regards to the environments as well. So it's still not the same thing that you are used to from IRPA, for example, but we are working also on streamlining this a bit more.
Exactly. So it's a very valid point, right? So we are aware that some of our customers need to test certain processes on a different environment before having final live project in the productive environment. So like Natascha said, we are right now working on a concept to hopefully support this kind of the problem and provide a solution for it. So hopefully somewhere in the future we will address this problem as well.
But a very valid question that we get asked a lot.
Yeah, thanks both. And I think Prasad is happy about the answer that you're looking to this. We have a question from Sam. Excuse me. When you use the auto-approve forms, why don't you use a decision instead? Does a user need to click anything when they receive an auto-approve form? I think these are two questions.
Yeah, so for the auto-approve form, actually, you're right. So you could do it with the approval, but usually it's already approved, right? You don't need an approval. So you could also just use a form and then confirm to the user, hey, there is actually no approval needed. So that's the way how you could do that as well. And then to use a decision for that, so you would be able to use a condition, right? That's what we showed. So if the amount is below that, then kind of the path is a different one. So you would use for that.
But it's a good catch, right? It's also something that we will have a new capability for this, because I created this approval form to, like Natascha said, notify someone that it was auto-approved. But also in the coming weeks, we will have another capability, which will be the mail task. So something that will be also easily configurable in the context of the process builder, which won't be a form, but will be a basically contextual, simple email that will be sent to the person who should be informed about this. And for this purpose, I think Sam mentioned that definitely it can be easily and much faster configurable in the decision, while sometimes the information still need to be sent to the person, and then this capability might be in use.
Okay, thank you. Sam also shared that he can't wait also to be able to trigger processes from webhooks in scenarios where maybe starting a process from a form doesn't make sense. So just a comment here from him.
Good comment, yeah, and it's on the you might have seen that, Sam. So because we see that there are, like, if we add this functionality, then of course there are even way more use cases and scenarios that you can cover with that.
Very good. I have hosted a lot of calls about low-code, no-code as well. So is there any integration strategy? And if so, what is it with other SAP low-code, no-code products?
Yeah, it's a very good topic as well. So yeah, integrations in overall are on our top priority at the SAP Process Automation, and of course we have other products in our no-code, low-code portfolio, like AppGyver, like Business Application Studio. And firstly, we want to make sure that customers can use each of the products with the powerful capabilities as well. We already have the common one central entry point that allow customers to enter to the world of local applications. But very soon we also already support some of the integration in the product. So one of them is that customers might, for example, create a process at the SAP Process Automations while invoke another process that was built in Business Application Studio. What does it mean? It simply means that I can create a simple process in no-code one in a SAP Process Automation, while this process might be an extension to the bigger process that was built by a pro developer in a business application studio. And just by having this as a part of the steps, customers already can combine multiple processes at once, which is one part of the integration. In the future, we will for sure think about additional integrations that, for example, the mobile applications that are built with AppGyver might also be, for example, a trigger to the processes that are built in SAP Process Automations. So you can think about this, that we are really hearing this from our customers, that sometimes the complexity of the landscapes and the applications require such integration. So we are definitely on it. And if we are on the topic of integration, I also would like to mention that what is important for us, that we will have also in this year good integrations with our other SAP products that we believe that customers can use, for example, to send some data either to S4HANA, to SuccessFactors, or sometimes also read some data, so that the consistency of data at the SAP systems lives.
Mm-hmm. Again, a good outlook for the rest of the year. Very good. Yeah. So first of all, thanks so much for the presentation, the demo, and of course for answering all the questions. And to the audience, we are still here. So if you have a question, don't be shy, write it in the chat so that I can read it out and that our experts can answer these questions. And you see, we have so many information in the SAP community as well. So only yesterday was the deadline of the low code, no code challenge, where you could have won this kind of hoodie. Unfortunately, this challenge is now already, the deadline stopped already, but we have many more challenges in SAP community. So really have a look. And for example, there is also another call tomorrow about SAP UI5, if you are interested in. We have also currently an SAP UI5 challenge running. So definitely tune in tomorrow for in this live stream as well. And yeah, if there are no more questions, then I can only thank you and wish you all a very nice day ahead. I give you 3 minutes back of your time. So enjoy and hope to see you in some of the next activities. And thanks again.
Thanks a lot. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.